I'm Brian McMullen, and these are the methods of cooking. How many different ways do you think you can cook chicken? Like chicken, there are many other foods that can be cooked in a variety of different ways. There are 13 methods of cooking, which can be broken down into 3 separate categories: dry heat, moist heat, and combination cooking. Through hands-on experience gained while attending culinary school and working in the field for over 6 years, I have practiced each method with multiple types of food. Let's begin by discussing the most common of cooking techniques: dry cooking. Cooking by dry heat is the process of applying heat either directly by subjecting the food to the heat of a flame, or indirectly by surrounding the food with heated air or fat, says Lipinski in On Cooking. The most common form of dry heat cooking is grilling. When grilling, the heat comes from under the food, and the food has to be turned or flipped to be cooked properly. Broiling, which is similar to grilling, but instead of the heat coming from below, the heat comes from an overhead source and is at a much higher temperature. Next is roasting and baking. Roasting and baking are the process of surrounding food with dry, heated air in a closed area. They mean the same thing, with the exception of what you cook with each method. Meats and vegetables are roasted, while fish, fruits, bread, and pastry-like items are baked. For example, you wouldn't want to roast a cupcake. Sautéing and pan frying are next. Both methods use conduction to cook food by transferring heat from the pan to the food using some type of fat. Pan frying uses more fat than sautéing. Similar to pan frying is deep frying. Deep frying uses much more fat, usually oil, to cook the food. Food gets fully submerged in oil during the cooking process. Some people may think that deep frying is a moist heat cooking method, but once the food has been submerged in the oil seals off the food so that no moisture can enter the food. Since deep frying is not considered a moist heat cooking method, let's find out what is. Cooking with moist heat is the process of applying heat to food by submerging it directly into a hot liquid or by exposing it to steam, says Lipinski in On Cooking. Boiling, the most common moist heat cooking method, uses water that is at a temperature of 100 degrees Celsius, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, says kim.purdue.edu. 2 lesser forms of boiling are simmering and poaching, which achieve the same goal but with water that is not as hot. Simmering is at a temperature between 185 and 205 degrees Fahrenheit, while poaching is even lower at 160 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit with a much shorter cook time. The hottest form of moist heat cooking is steaming. Steaming uses steam from water that is 212 degrees Fahrenheit or hotter to cook the food. The next category of methods can produce delicious food, however, is probably not as commonly used in average households. Combination cooking employs both moist and dry heat methods. Braising and stewing begin with dry heat method of stewing or browning to partially cook the food, then liquid is added to simmer and steam the food to finish cooking the cooking. Stewing is different than braising in that while stewing, one will use much smaller pieces of food. TheCulinaryCook.com suggests another method of combination cooking: sous vide, which is a method of vacuum sealing food and simmering it in water until the food is heated and cooked throughout. In reviewing all the cooking methods, there are many different ways to cook foods using 3 different categories: dry heat, moist heat, and combination cooking. Each category allows for similarities and differences in both taste and texture. Next time you decide to cook, try exploring a different cooking method. You might enjoy it.